Hello guys, thank you so much for watching my videos and welcome back to my online tutorials. Most of the viewers asking a lot of questions about Mongo, so I thought to answer all of their questions, uh, this video will helpful. So in this video, I'm going to explore more MongoDB options. Those are really helpful when you are working um, on Mongo when you're defining the enterprise applications. Yeah, so we'll see more options in this video. So uh, completely watch the video and let me know if you need more information or if you have any questions. Like as I mentioned earlier, all my videos will contain real-time scenarios, the work sample examples, and step-by-step simplified steps and practical explanations. So this video also will do the same. So when you're working on MongoDB, so there are really few things you have to understand um, and you should know so that you can provide better implementation for Mongo. So in one of them is a replica set. So you use MongoDB for high volume data and high availability. So this replica set will let you maintain different instances, so which will have the same type of data set. So that will make sure you get the data all the time. So the availability and redundancy for production deployments is a crucial part. So if one server, one instance of MongoDB down, so the another instance will take as a priority and it will uh, uh, get the data as accuracy as possible. So when you define your production MongoDBs, you set the replica set. So in that, you will make a primary node, uh, basically that handles all the write operations, and the secondary nodes will uh, write the data, the same redundant data. So let us assume if you have three replica sets, one in US, one in India, and one in Europe. So, and you made India as a primary node. So all the write operations will go to the India node since it is a primary. But when you're writing the data, it will make sure it writes the same data to US and Europe nodes. So this will make sure if one of the node is down, suppose the India node is down, but still you can get the data from the US and um, other nodes. So this replica set basically it allow you to define a primary node. All the writes will go to the primary node first. Subsequently, it will go to the all other nodes, and this will make sure the data is available all the time, especially when you're working on data critical applications. Aggregation pipeline. So really, when I started working on MongoDB, aggregation pipeline looks like a monster for me. But you know, the aggregation pipeline is the simplest way, which will simplify your Mongo like communications. So this aggregation pipeline will have multiple stages. So it's a kind of stored procedure. I don't want to compare the SQL stored procedure with Mongo aggregation pipeline, but this Mongo aggregation pipeline will contain everything like what kind of data you are trying to pull, like what is the select statements and what kind of fields you are trying to pull, and like how many records you are trying to pull, like how you are doing it. Like it's a kind of a complete Mongo query. So where you define different options. I'll go through one of the aggregation pipeline in my next videos, because if you are working on MongoDB, you definitely need to work on aggregation pipeline. So here is the definition. So the MongoDB aggregation pipeline is a multi-stage data processing framework that transforms collections of documents into aggregated results. So either when you're writing the data or when you're reading the data, this aggregation pipeline will convert the collections into documents. the resultant. Like suppose if a collection contains 1 million records, but you need to pull some documents based on some filter criteria and some and you want to apply some like ordering of those documents, and you want to apply some limitation, limiting like select 10 records, 20 records if you are a SQL Server developer. So all these things you can do in the aggregation pipeline. It functions like a data assembly line. Documents enter the pipeline from a collection, pass through successive processing steps known as stages, and emerge as a final rephrased output. So it's a kind of filtering data and send it to the application. Each stage modifies the data it receives and passes the resulting data set directly to next stage. So one of the critical um, phase when I started working on Mongo, like aggregation pipeline has a my first Mongo assignment, I need to debug a I need to understand and work on a aggregation pipeline which is very huge and which contains multiple stages. So, but Studio 3D has a special feature called you can load this aggregation pipeline into your Studio 3D and you can debug locally. So you can debug stage by stage locally. So that I show in my next videos. That will be really interesting and it will be really helpful. And if you're working on real-time applications using MongoDB, you have to deal with aggregation pipelines. So these are some of the different stages in aggregation pipeline match. So the match condition specifies what is the filter condition, like where condition you can think it as, like if employee ID is so and so, employee salary is greater than this much, employee country is uh, this. So this match condition is nothing but your where condition. I'm trying to compare a SQL Server and aggregation pipeline. So projection is nothing but which fields you are trying to retrieve. It's a kind of select employee ID, employee name, etc. So the projection will contain your list of um, records. Unset, so this unset will release the memory. If you are using few parameters in your aggregation pipeline and you want to unset them, you can unset in this stage. So it will unset all the variables. Limit will specify select 10 employees. In a similar way, this limit you can specify limit documents 100, limit 20, like that. If you specify the limit here, so only that many documents will be retrieved. Skip, you don't want to retrieve them. You don't want to be part of those documents uh, in your return list. So the skip in there you can specify the skip condition. Add fields. So these are the temporary fields. You can add it to your aggregation pipeline for further processing. Unwind. This is also unset the variables. Lookup is nothing but you will define some lookup variable so that you can use it in your aggregation pipeline. I will show all of these stages in detail in my next videos, but this is the definition and keep watching it. So indexes like very crucial in SQL Server, in SQL database. Uh, the indexes play a major role, but you don't see the exceptions right away. But if you're, I worked on MongoDB collections, so which contain at least a million records, more than million records. So when you're writing the statements with the million records, the Mongo, if you don't define the indexes, proper indexes, it will throw exceptions and you will not at all get the data. So uh, since MongoDB dealing with huge collection of data, indexes are very crucial. And I will, in my next videos, I will show how a collection behaves for a simple select query if you don't define the index, the exception case, and then I will define the indexes and I will run the same select query. And after defining the indexes, the select query works fine. So I'm going to define in my next videos, but the indexes, there are different types of indexes. So the compound index. So the compound index is nothing but this stores data from multiple fields in a single sorted B tree structure. So that means if you are trying to define index on multiple like fields in your document, so this compound index is being used, um, and it will be sorted in a B tree structure. And multi-key, like specialized indexes designed to evaluate data stored in arrays. So I'll show how this multi-key index will work. So even this multi-key index is similar to compound index, but it like when you are dealing with huge arrays, this multi-key index, like if you, in your document, if you have multiple arrays, this multi-key index will help you to retrieve the data. Then text allow you to perform efficient full text searches on string fields with a collection. Unlike regular indexes that check for exact matches, text indexes tokenize the content, strip away common stop words. So when you're working on like some social media searches, so always the text exact match will not work. So this text index will allow you to perform different types of searches on the fields so that they will be retrieved efficiently. Even this one I'll demo. So then Gospatial, MongoDB provides native support for storing and querying location-based data to make geospatial queries performant. MongoDB relies on geospatial indexes, which require your location data to be stored as a valid GeoJSON objects or legacy coordinate pairs. So, if your application is dealing with coordinates, if your application is dealing with like maps or location addresses. So this geospatial index will really helpful. This will help you to find the coordinates easily, search coordinate easily. So wildcard, this will allow you to automatically index all fields on a specific subfield or deeply nested arrays within polymorphic documents without needing to know or declare field names in advance. Suppose you are dealing with uh, collections which are dynamic and you don't know like which columns need to be indexed. So this wildcard allow you to index on all the fields so that you can retrieve the data. So this will really helpful when you are dealing with unknown like social media applications. Um, and we will see. So these are the indexes: compound, multi-key, and compound index is a very common index. Multi-key, yes, you will use it. Text, if you are dealing with text related searches, then that will be. And if you are dealing with location driven or coordinate driven, then geospatial. And wildcard will be for unknown, uh, um, like huge areas. So in the next video, I'm going to explore these tools. So if you want to connect to MongoDB, um, you can use Atlas, Studio 3D, Visual Studio Code. I like Studio 3D, but I'm using a free version. The uh, premium version of Studio 3D has a lot of like benefits, lot of features which we don't have in the free version. But to compensate that, we can use the Atlas. So Atlas is one of the another tool where you can use to debug and to understand the MongoDB in your local. And Visual Studio Code, I like few features of the Visual Studio Code with respect to MongoDB. They have a MongoDB. They released a um, extension for Visual Studio Code specifically to integrate the MongoDB in your local and to query the MongoDB. And the advantage of using Visual Studio Code, you can use the extension as a developer. As a developer, you can generate similar kind of, you can ask Copilot with the integration. And we are going to see all those options in my next videos. You like this video? This is a short video on MongoDB topics. In the next session, I will explore more options of the MongoDB, and the next sessions will be going to very interesting. Keep watching my video. Please share, subscribe, and share with the friends if you like this video, and let me know if you need any specific topics to cover. Thanks once again. Happy coding.